Hey everybody, going to do a little yield test here, see what we get off of a specific amount. Not sure. This is some older stuff here. This is actually a little keyboard from a cell phone, probably 8 years old, 9 years old, very old one, flip phone. Lots of gold on there, as you can see. And we got a memory card here, memory stick, a decent amount of gold on there. Removed the chips already, so I got that cleaned up. And put that on there. Got a little scale here. We got trimmed off pieces from the other second half of this. You can see this here. The other board was actually full of circuits. And so I trimmed all that off. You can see I just took the edge from that, and this is actually from a steering wheel for a PlayStation. Took that off of there. This little nugget right here is actually from a old film, actual film disposable camera. Don't see many of those anymore. But if you find them, there's a little bit of gold on there. Also have a old SIM card here. So I'm going to put that on the scale. And get it on grams. It is zeroed out. I will then take all of my good stuff here and just remove it. And put it in my little container here. And every little piece counts. Now I put everything on here and then turned it on, as it's going to be easier, rather than trying to drop the smallest amount on there, to just take everything off and then get your reading. Negative 27, so I have 27 grams total of board and gold that I put in there, fairly clean. So we'll see what happens. I got to cut this in half. It's too tall, obviously, for that. Or I could just break it. Oh, I got my clippers right here. So, tin snips, sheet metal snips, whatever you want to use it. Cut that off, drop it in there. So we're starting with 27 grams roughly, and I've got a little coffee cup warmer set to go. Now, I always just eyeball this. I mean, they say do specific amounts, but you can always eyeball this. Actually, before I put this acid in here, I'm going to take this out. Where's my tweezers at? Let me take this out of here and trim this down one more time. I want to try and get it to lay flat. Can use less chemicals that way. And get this stuff to lay flat like that. And we're a little better off. Let me cut this in half again here. Let's cut it in half. There we go. Now everything's laying down nice and flat. Use much less chemicals that way. Now I've got my safer muriatic acid, much less fumes, very nice. I enjoy that quite a bit. So let me drop some acid in there, just enough acid to cover, good enough. And hydrogen peroxide. I'm starting with this. So I've got, and just a little bit of peroxide is all we need. Get all the fun stuff going. Now, I already got that preheated, so I don't have to wait for that to heat up. And We'll let this go, get this little stir here. Now what I like to do, just to help myself out and my nose and everything else, I like to take a coffee filter, lay it over the top. That will catch a lot of fumes coming up, and just help keep everything in the jar there. And to hold that in place, you can actually take a funnel, set it over the top of that. That will hold that all in place while you let that go. I will let that go for about an hour or so. Come back, give a little stir, and I will show you finished result when that's all done. Just continue that in another video, but that's it for now. So we'll see what we get from roughly 28 grams of board, and we'll go from there. Talk to you soon. Hello again. It's been about an hour and a half or so. Just out here checking on it again. You can see from the heat, see all the steam, all the moisture condensating up there, and you can see the coffee filter I had up there. Catches a lot. Really helps out, getting some of that stuff there. Now you can see all the fumes coming up in the light there from the heat. Keeping that coffee filter on there will catch a lot of the fumes coming up and keep it out of your everything else. So we'll give this a little stir and see how things are going here. Very nice. You can see a lot of flakes in there coming out now. So it doesn't take much time. A little bit of heat, and you can see it turning green. That green is from the copper being dissolved. And just need some more time. There's still quite a bit of gold out on there. Just need some more time to get dissolved. Find my tweezers, pull a piece out of here for you. Take a look. Heat is always good with this muriatic acid and peroxide mixture. Works a lot better with heat. Speed up the process. Now you can see, if I can get this turned just right, you can see the gold. See it starting to bubble up there, flake up a little bit. You can see it there. It is starting to let go. Sorry, it's getting a little out of focus there. But you can see the gold is starting to come up as it eats the. There's a good spot. So it'll just take some time. The heavier the layer of copper, the longer it takes to get dissolved. But it's come along very nicely. Get this stirred up here. Let it continue. You can see all this stuff floating around here. And we will let it continue. Oops. And I will be back to check on it again. Now if it turns a little bit, and that's okay, that color's okay. It's a little dark there. Now you can refresh that a little bit. You can refresh your chemicals here to continue the process a little bit more. If you get too much copper dissolved in there, your process will start to slow down. So you can just go ahead and add a little bit more peroxide, and you'll see that turn clear again. From the peroxide, it'll clear it up a little bit. It's got a little lighter green, and lots of gold in there floating around. There's a big piece. But we will let that continue. Here's the keyboard. Take a look at this keyboard real quick. See how that's coming along. Oh my gosh. There we go. Now you can see on this, it is all that gold that's in there still. I've barely gotten any off of this. You can see this top one top two in the left corner here, and this one here. Gold, some of the gold's starting to come off, but there is really still a lot of gold to be separated, and there's still quite a bit in there floating around already from the other pieces. So it's looking pretty good so far. And just another quick stir. You can see all your bubbles coming up there. And we shall let it continue. And I'll come back and check on that again in a little bit. Alright, hello folks. It's been about 3 hours now since I started this filtering here. You can see I told you about putting the coffee filter over the top. So it collects all of that. It's just caught in the filter. All of that there gets caught in the filter. Does not get put out everywhere into your room and all that good stuff. You can see lots of fumes coming up there in the light. Heat is a very good thing for this process, but it does create fumes. Even though I'm using the cleaner muriatic acid, less fumes, it does create fumes when you put everything together. So this has been, like I said, a few more hours now, and there is a lot of gold in there, a lot of gold flakes in there. Let's see if I can fish that piece out that I showed you before, where it had begun to bubble up before. Now you can see how much of that gold has come off. Has not taken it all, but a lot. A lot. Probably a good 95% of that has come off of the board now at this point. So it has made tremendous progress in a very short amount of time. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my camera up here just to get a better vantage point of what I'm doing. Next, I will be filtering this off. I like to leave everything there. This off. Do not need that anymore. Coffee filter. Funnel. Cup. Old cup filter in half. Half again. One side, we'll create a pocket, put that in the cup, in the funnel, in the cup. You can then use this to filter out your liquid and capture all your gold. Now this should be a pretty clean take here, just because of the fact that I've gotten all the little chips and stuff off of the boards first, prior to doing this. So it should be a pretty clean filter here, and be just pretty much just all gold. Let that filter out, and there's still quite a bit in there. Not everything has come off yet, but I like to get gold out as it move along, just to keep it clean. And let that filter down, saving it. We'll continue to use it, clean it up, and make it look real nice and pretty. Water bottle, just water. cleans out. Clean out container. Take all my pieces here. Put some water in there. I just like to get everything out of the jar. Start fresh. Semi-fresh, anyway. Not completely fresh. Get as all the water out of there as I can. Paper towel. Excess water out. Let that continue to drain. Just a little bit more there. Just about got it. Now we'll pour this back into the jar and continue to use it. It's still very good. Just reactivate a little bit. Turn that heat back on since we are going to keep using it. Now, and then start to water this down. Clean that gold up. Oh, so pretty. Also in here. Now this is where I go through and we'll pick up all my little pieces here. And you can see all the gold is gone. That's copper. You go from gold to copper to bare board. You don't need all that copper to come off. Once the gold is off, you're done. Copper layer underneath is what turns your acid green. You can see the difference here between the gold and the copper layer, and then you get down to the board. You can just scrape this off a little bit, rinse it off with your water bottle, so you get all that gold down into the pot there. If it is still very stuck on there, not coming off easily, like these are sticking quite well still. They are not ready to come off. So you just spray it as you can. Just carefully press off excess water, leaving it like that. There's still gold here, and all this gold will come off. As you can see on this circle and this circle, it will completely come off. And just drop that right back in the solution, and then continue on. Rinse, no gold, set it aside. There's still some gold on here. See the spot there. So we will let that continue. Okay, not coming off. Back in the liquid. This is a piece of memory stick. As you can see, the little ridges have pretty much come clean. Almost everything off of the fingers. You can see some is still there, still sticking. So we will continue. Nice big flake right there. Very nice. So we will continue to process this as well. Rinse this off. Done. No more left on that one. There's some gold here. It's not ready to come off yet. Back in the Lots of gold here on these fingers still. Much heavier. Now, this is obviously going to take more time. It's a much heavier electroplate on this. This is off of a sound card. Put that back in there. No green stuff. Definitely get rid of that. Just a slight amount. Nothing to worry about there. Rinse this off. Still not ready to come off of there yet, so we'll let that continue in there. Lots of it there. Try that off, let that continue. Like I said, this is off of a much older phone, very old phone, probably 8 years old, if not a little more. So the electroplating process then was not as efficient as it is now. So it is on much heavier, and you know, it's the thickness is more than it is today. So it takes more time for the chemicals to penetrate below the gold and release it. Therefore, you get all the time spent waiting and waiting and waiting. A little bit of piece there, so I can take that and trim this off. I don't need the whole piece in there. It's just going to get more copper in my solution, so I can eliminate most of this and just trim it down to what I want to put back in there. And that's it. I'm going to put that back in there. Okay. Clean. Almost completely clean. A couple of spots on there. There, now they're off. On the fingers, rinse off the fingers. That's clean. Clean. And then this is also much nicer. More space to work in here, clean this stuff all up. Not quite ready to come off of there yet. I'll put this back in the solution. Not quite ready yet either. Put that back in there. And not ready yet. Back in the solution. And you can see that's not quite ready to come off of there yet. Back in the solution. Now you can see we get that all cleaned off. Quite a bit of gold in there still that did not come off in the first one. So we will just put this in here, allow this to filter. Filter all that nice prettiness. while that's draining, I will put some more, turn this back on, add some more muriatic acid. And acid, and clean it up with some more peroxide. And you can see how it changed that color immediately. And just you can already see there's more flakes have already started to release immediately. So that will continue to work. Probably be, let that go overnight, I would say. A couple more hours anyway. I'll check on it in a couple more hours. Put this back on and this back on, and we will let that go. This needs some more time to get happy, like so. And use a squirt bottle, clean it out, get everything out of your container. Like so. And just let that drain down. And we'll check on it in a minute. Alright folks, it's just about done. Getting this drained out of here, filtered. You can always speed this up a little bit if you pick it up carefully out of the funnel, just to release it from the sides. It will drain quite a bit faster. Keep your finger in between, it doesn't close up on you completely. Squeeze that out. You're going to open it back up in your filter, or in your funnel, and spray the sides down. And repeat. Then with that being done, I'll clear this stuff out of the way here. You can then open this up. And see how much gold is in there. That's quite a bit. It's not bad. Not bad at all. And it's not complete yet, so quite a bit more. Once I'm done with that, then you get your gold there. Then what I like to do is rinse this into my jar so it doesn't dry to the filter. It becomes very difficult. If you let this dry onto the filter, it gets very difficult to get off. So I like to rinse it off into a jar. Get all of these guys together in the pool. Before you do anything else, get this cleaned off. Do not let it dry. You will never get the gold off. I mean, you will, but it's pain. There we go. That's better. Get that off. And you've got gold in the bottom of your jar. Let me get this off of here and show you. So that's that. Leave this over here to the side. And put this back up here real quick. And set this to the side. Allow this to continue to process. See all the bubbles in there. And you can see lots and lots of gold coming to the surface again. Just rejuvenated that with adding a little bit more acid and peroxide, and that will continue to dissolve copper and release the gold, and to be continued.